Good morning, everybody. It's Jillian. So, wow. You know, it's interesting that I was thinking everything's going to be nice and chill and everything's going to be nice and chill. And yeah, I'll focus on the coronavirus like everybody else, promote Jilly Juice because you know that Jilly Juice will never hurt anything, of course, and we need nutritional support during these crazy times, especially with this virus that we have not seen truly what it's capable of. Okay, we already see in China the coronavirus is like wreaking havoc, but it's only really come to our soil since like November, December. And we're a relatively stronger population than the 1 billion people in China, but we do have a weak point in our population. So it hasn't hit them yet. And so this is going to be interesting. So yesterday, I wrote a post. Actually, I didn't write a post. Yesterday, people, I guess, discovered a post on my business page that I didn't realize that the general population wasn't even aware. But I guess I kind of knew, and it's always been in the back of my mind because when I focused on viruses and vaccines, there's still people that are just very incredulous to my information. So, of course, introducing the idea that viruses aren't deadly, especially on this thing with coronavirus, people are losing their minds and they're thinking, oh, she's capitalizing on the coronavirus stuff and she's, whatever, being a vulture and everything else. But I mean, CNN did an article on the fact that there's a lot of conspiracies around the coronavirus, and then a lot of people out there are trying to capitalize on putting out their protocols. And of course, yes, I'm no different, but I've always been doing this. It wasn't like the coronavirus was anything different. I just angled my information to speak to it, but I haven't been doing anything different than, than before the virus took hold. So anyways, so this virus, hold on, how was I going to say this? So I wrote this post about viruses aren't deadly, but, and people are just incredulous. They're just incredulous because they're seeing all the fallout. But I've been focusing about the virus, and they're only deadly on weak bodies. Okay, so somebody like in San Francisco shared that post. I'm telling you, it got over 3,000 plus views. I mean, everybody was coming out of the woodwork and they're like, oh my God, you're this, you're that. I mean, I was debating back and forth with one of these podcast old hippie dudes, very, very left-wing, liberal. So I know with my little Trump, frame on my profile pic didn't win me any favors with anybody in the left wing, but that was enough for them to be like, okay, we're just going to slam her. So the response was like when I first rolled out J-Juice, prior to Dr. Phil even, and then even after Dr. Phil, because even after Dr. Phil, everyone had a field day with me. That's fine. But it was just so interesting. And so how I measure when new information is getting out that people haven't even thought of, the fear, the oh my God, are you kidding me type of response is like a barometer. Let me know that I'm penetrating belief systems. Because when people don't react, it doesn't really affect them. Like I don't react to certain things. Some people, they're totally like focused on vaccines, and 9/11 is an inside job, but I don't really worry about 9/11 as an inside job because it doesn't affect me. It's not going to determine my future. I mean, I get no benefit wondering or promoting that 9/11 was an inside job. So I don't really even react to any of that stuff. Now I have people in my group, when I posted some stuff about potential scenarios of how this virus got released. And of course, the conspiracy community will put out their side of it, and that's fine. We have to entertain all different scenarios, but I will respond to that. But I don't actively go on a page and be like, oh my God, you guys are so crazy. I mean, it just doesn't really like trigger my radar to have any kind of response. So the fact that I got a major response yesterday lets me know that I'm actually breaking through some paradigms, because this whole thing right now, just that post alone, when they're like, oh my God, report this page. And I'm like, dude, do you not realize there has been a whole crowd of people that hated me way before you did? Okay. I mean, I've been down this road before. People don't realize how long I've been on the scene. They see the page is pretty new. You can see when it was created. They don't realize I have another page that I segued from because it was like it's old information, but it was just an old thought process that I needed to shed and now develop a better platform for me, and then rename the page because the old page didn't really reflect my new thought process. So so they're thinking that they're inventing the wheel. Oh, we're going to report you to Facebook. You're harming people. I mean, it was just like, and it's funny, interesting how humanity is not that different. So I actually broke into a new audience yesterday. And when you break into a new audience, people lose their freaking minds. It's pretty crazy. So I actually felt like yesterday it was a success. Now, you know, is being insulted and people like just targeting you and being all like mean to you and saying bad stuff on the internet about you, say that, oh, you're a bad person and all this other, does that mean that you're successful? In a lot of ways, yes, because you're putting out an idea that, first of all, is not illegal, that is breaking people's perceptions of what they think dangerous is, or their fear of the unknown, because this is reminiscent of the AIDS epidemic. And I was in the Bay Area in 1985 when the AIDS epidemic was reaching a major tipping point. So many people were being hospitalized for having the AIDS virus. And then people were ostracizing, discrimination. I mean, there was a movie called The Ryan White Story. A kid was taken out of school because he had a blood transfusion. I mean, it really like catapulted and prompted so many movies and legislation and foundations. And it was just crazy. And I'm like, God, this reminds me, you know, so when I said that the virus is not deadly, okay, like the coronavirus is not deadly, but only on weak bodies, and that you all hold viruses within you, people cannot reconcile the fact that they have so many viruses in them and they don't want to go and get a titer test to see what they would test positive for. That is scary. But remember, when people don't want to get a vaccine, how do you skirt around that type of legislation? You go get a titer test, and then you go get tested for a specific virus that they want you to see to prove that you have antibodies, a layer of protection, and then that will then give you a license to not get a vaccine. But people are not putting those two together, okay? Because you have the anti-vax compartmentalized in one thing, and then you have people who are very, very afraid of viruses compartmentalized another thing, but those two are connected. And so now, yes, I would say we have a global epidemic, because when you have a very new aggressive virus in the environment, the weak are going to fall. But that's already happening anyways. How many of you have friends and family triggering cancer, disease, chronic illness? Where do you think that came from? That came from viruses that are capitalizing on weak bodies. Antibodies get built up, and then cancer is being detected because you have now anomalies in cells that are replicating at a faster rate. You have antibodies that are clogging up your arteries and capillaries, creating all this plaque in your heart valves and in your brain and all that stuff. And so then, you know, you could trigger an aneurysm or die from a stroke because you don't have any oxygen getting to your brain, because you have either bursting blood vessels because they're thin, or you have so much fat and antibodies clogging up things that then create blockages, and then people die from aneurysms, because that's what people die from. They die from basically sepsis, or they die from blockages because they're not getting rid of these antibodies. Where are these antibodies coming from? Well, it's not just viruses. It's also overabundance and imbalances in your fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. So it's like people just can't even fathom that they hold this stuff in them. And so I'm trying to challenge everybody on my business page, go get a titer test. Why don't you go get an AIDS test? When people are sick with chronic conditions and they go do a titer test, you can see what they test positive for. And then maybe you can see correlation equals causation. Having an autoimmune disorder or pancreatic cancer, you test for all of these different viruses, they're going to test positive, possibly in high numbers. But the reason why is because they have weak bodies. How come not everybody is dead in China? Because the strong have either an overactive immune system, because there's always that, where they never get sick and you're like, oh my God, but then it's going to work against them in the future, or their body's able to calibrate the levels of antibody accumulation and release on its own through good genetics as well as a great lifestyle. And so they can be around a virus and they'll be asymptomatic. I mean, so, but that doesn't register. People don't realize that. They just think that, okay, you have a virus, I'm going to get it. And yeah, if you're weak, if you're afraid of a virus, if you're afraid of jelly juice, if you're afraid of a virus, if you're afraid of all these things are out there as far as bacteria, not even chemicals, because yeah, you should be afraid of being gassed. You should be afraid of carbon monoxide in a closed environment. But if you're afraid of bacteria and viruses, your body's letting you know that you have weaknesses and most likely you're going to catch it, especially if it's highly communicable, like a respiratory disease. Okay. And so in a lot of ways, you know, now, well, not a lot of ways. So me introducing that very idea that you don't have to die from a virus, it's not deadly. What's deadly is the fact that you have a weak body. You don't take care of your body, not because it's your fault. You came into this world with predispositions. Modern medicine gave you a stay of execution. Mother Nature has rules and laws. And if you didn't have modern medicine, she would say, hey, no, you're not going to live. That's what SIDS is. You know what SIDS is? SIDS is the fact that a person, sudden infant death syndrome, is when a baby dies because it cannot adapt to the environment. Forget the vaccine argument that vaccines cause SIDS, but there are people that have had miscarriages. Okay? Way before they had modern medicine. I mean, as far as vaccines and checkups and all these different things they do, you know, prenatal care. Okay, so Mother Nature has a balance. Mother Nature has rules. Man came in and gave you all a stay of execution. But some of you have not reversed or addressed the reason why you had to have modern medicine to help you become who you are today in the first place. Some of you are living from your predispositions as if you are invincible, and then you realize that you're not as invincible as you thought you were when you were 20. It's catching up to you because that was your normal. Your normal was to have this chronic condition that you are managing with pills, powder supplements, detoxes, procedures. You maybe got an organ taken out, whatever. And you think that that's wonderful. And then you expect to die someday. And then now there's this crazy ass virus in the environment. And oh my God, you're going to cause discrimination, fear. I mean, that's where discrimination comes from. All the isms, every ism out there comes from the fear of the unknown, the ignorant. Okay. And then yesterday was a testament to that, because when I put out there that viruses aren't deadly, only on weak bodies, the coronavirus is not deadly, but only on a weak body. How many weak bodies out there? Are billions. Okay. People are like, oh God, report the page for self-harm and this, and that, and I'm like, hold on a second. You know what you're doing right now? You are actually channeling and laying the groundwork for another AIDS discrimination, AIDS virus discrimination. Because let me tell you, it's interesting. Let me tell you that the discrimination, the racism is going to come out with the thing with the Chinese and the SARS and the coronavirus. Because I remember when I went on a page in one of my, like some Stark County Watch group that I'm in, and people are just talking about all the different stuff that goes on. And they were mentioning about driving while being a minority in some parts of our county. It's very dangerous for some of the kids. And I wouldn't disagree because racism is everywhere. But I'm like, dang, I really wish that the Asians would get some kind of recognition, because we're kind of like the redheaded stepchild. No one really pays attention to us. Well, damn, be careful what you wish for. But this is an example. This is the thing. Not that I really want the Asians to be known for all these different diseases coming, and not everybody, not everybody that's Asian is Chinese. There's so many different Asian countries, and I'm from Vietnam. But this is going to be no different than like the AIDS epidemic, where it's already happening. The racism and the automatic assumption, because you're wearing a mask or you're Asian, please don't eat from here, please don't come in here, and it's gonna be all over again. Because it comes from fear and ignorance, and people are weak. So that's why you really can't get mad at people who are racist, just so you know, or you can't get mad at people that are ignorant about certain things, because yesterday I dealt with that. They think that the juice is so horrible. And there was nothing that I could really, I definitely did hold my own with everyone just going like, oh my God. But it was just like, I had the energy yesterday, okay? And I wanted to at least give them something to at least talk about. If they want to go and try to debunk it, great. At least they can do their own research. But it's like, at least now I'm penetrating some of the brainwashing that viruses are deadly. They're only deadly on a weak body. And so this is why I promote J juice, not because I'm trying to capitalize on some crazy, sensationalized thing. It's like, no, I'm trying to help you guys out with something very, very, very easy to make. It's not poisonous. It's been tested in a lab. That you need the nutrition, you need the vegetables, you definitely need the salt, you need the water, you need the probiotics. And so I'm talking to these like hippies from the older generation, probably potheads, that run a little podcast in San Francisco, which needs to be cleaned up anyways. And so it's such an interesting, just trying to penetrate that. The ignorance is pretty insane. And so that's why we have to really educate people. When you're suffering discrimination, when you're suffering racism, that you don't give it back. You don't hate them too. Because I don't hate those guys yesterday. I get troll page. They say the worst things in the world. But it comes from fear. It comes from not knowing. It comes from, oh my God, I was told this and was taught this my whole life. And now you're telling me it's completely different. And now it's kind of scary to know that a lot of people hold a lot of antibodies in their body. Do you know what surface marker antigen A and surface marker antigen B is? You know what antigen is? Anything in excess that causes antibodies to then build up in your body. So that's why those are basically blood types, okay? And so there's certain diseases that could be correlative to the type of blood type you have, as well as your body type, as well as your predispositions, your biological makeup, all of that. Your blood type is how many imbalances, how many antibodies are you carrying. What's an antibody? It's something that is actually anti-life, anti the body. I mean, yeah, it balances out to help protect you, but too much of it, when you have too many antibodies in your body, it causes degradation, it causes aging, it causes heart attacks and strokes to where you don't survive because there's so much has clogged up your system, the body isn't releasing. And so that's why, fecal matter and spit and mucus and all of that are like pathogenic, because that's somebody's excess that's causing them harm. Now, but here's the thing, a person who's very strong could be exposed to all of that. I mean, public toilets and restaurants and going to different countries, and they would be asymptomatic because their body is able to process that bacteria data. But a weaker person would not be able to process that amount of data. No different than people that don't understand my information. It's too much for their brains, okay? And so their heads explode when they hear this information or have any idea introduced. And then also too, yes, I am slamming the holistics market, because how many people, in lieu of vaccines, and we don't even have a vaccine, are going to be turning to cannabis at an exponential level. The oils industry, the detoxes, the supplements, they're going to be overdoing it because they're thinking that if they overdo it, because I did the same thing. I'm thinking like, oh, for me to reverse my PMDD and get more regular and balanced out with my hormones, I'm going to take all of this primrose oil or all of this, you know, ashwagandha. And I'm putting all these different oils, all these antibiotics in my smoothie, thinking that I'm helping myself. And actually, I was actually hurting myself because it was all antibiotic. It was too much. I was using iodine too. So I was using iodine, diatomaceous earth, and bentonite clay, and borax, boron. I mean, you name it, everything in the holistic industry, I was putting into my smoothies, my fruit smoothies, no less. Okay? And that was actually doing more harm than good. And so, yeah, I was on my page in that specific post, I slammed the holistic industry. So how many MLMers who depend upon and capitalize on these crazy, crazy epidemics are going like, holy crap, this girl is slamming me. And then I put a comment going like, how many of you who are laughing are selling pills, powder, supplements, and detox? And they're like, well, you're doing the same thing. Well, if your product is so amazing, the results will speak for themselves. So if you're threatened by my information, maybe you don't have enough confidence in your pills, powders, and supplements, and cannabis and detoxes. And maybe you should reevaluate your business model. Okay, maybe you should reevaluate your business model. And so it was just very, so I like the feedback that I'm getting, because now I'm seeing what people know and what people don't know. And what people don't know comes out, because they'll say, oh, you're doing this, or you're doing that, or what about this, and what about that, and why are you doing this, and why are you doing that, and why don't you allow people to go and post, and why do you keep blocking and deleting and banning? Because it's my page, it's my world, it's my protocol. No different than when you go to your mom's house. You don't dictate the rules in your mom's house, but some people do. Some people go in their mom's house and basically throw their weight around, and their mom will let them do it. Well, my mom would never let me throw my weight around the house. It was her rules, her house, you know, her food. And so, no, there was no free rent. There's no squatters, no freebies. You earn your way. So you'll earn your way on my page by either understanding or supporting. If you don't like it, then don't do it. But I don't have to entertain those. You know, I'm not going to let somebody squat on my page and basically suck the life out of it, suck the space. But that's what I deal with, is those that like to go and parasite. And you know, that's fine, because I feed off that energy. Okay, when you become as strong as I'm becoming or am, you'll now be able to take, and you'll know your boundaries. So you're not going to just, you know, go off and just give yourself and your energy to everybody that wants it. But you'll be able to convert whatever energy that comes at you in different ways, in different forms, and convert it to your benefit. Those that are very weak do not know how to convert the energy to their benefit. So the energy that they're taking in destroys them, as well as they're destroying others that are weak as well, just like them. So that's one of the biggest takeaways about J Juice, is you'll be able to convert the energy thrown at you, no matter what. Okay, because fans, when you have fans, people that follow you and they love you and hate you, those are people giving you their energy, their minerals, their time, their space. They feel you're that important enough for them to make time in your world, that you actually matter in their world. And that's a harder concept, because some people say the most horrible things. And you're like, well, how does that mean that they like me and value me? Because they're taking the time out of their day to give away something that they know they're never going to get back, because they don't know how to regenerate. So people will just give away stuff for free because they don't know how to bring it back to themselves. And so that's why, you know, I think it's really awesome that I can use that feedback as a way to, it's like a barometer of what people, of how my information is getting across. Because I mean, if I have no reaction, then I'm like, okay, then I'm just some other Joe that's selling some protocol that no one really gives a shit about. I mean, do you hear anything more about turpentine? Oh yeah, you'll go into the parasite groups and they're like, oh yeah, turpentine's so great, but they don't make any waves. Do they get on Dr. Phil? Do the urine drinkers get on Dr. Phil? Make any waves? No, that's disgusting. You know, the whole thing with J juice is to release all of the anxiety, to release all of the past, all of the fossils that are buried in your shit, and let you release it so that way you can regenerate your body and finally have the communication be so clear between your body, mind, and spirit. So I don't know, it's been rather exciting, and especially with this whole thing with the coronavirus, because let me tell you guys, we haven't seen what this coronavirus is really capable of. And I'm telling you, it is imperative that you at least do a little bit. You don't have to drink it in the condensed version. You can dilute it in the beginning so you can get used to the taste, but you should drink it in its condensed version at some point, because that is a powerful force that's going to push all of that horrible, crappy stuff that is clogging up all of your different pipes, causing your body to misfire. And then when there is a virus in the environment that's very aggressive, you know, you could potentially fall victim to it because your body is that weak. Because that's what cancer is. Okay, so you guys understand, cancer is not a fungus. That's what I thought too, okay? So I was definitely highly mistaken a long time ago, but I bought into the holistic industry's perception of all these diseases. Cancer is basically viruses on a weak body. And someone that doesn't have cancer has viruses that is not on a weak body. But what's a virus? Virus is just a type of programming that will either upgrade you or downgrade you. So when I get exposed to viruses now, it upgrades me. I experience a little upset of homeostasis because I'm adapting to a new environment, but I don't get sick. I'm not weak. My thoughts and my discoveries are that much clearer, and I'm stronger because of it. So I was telling my friend yesterday, I was on the phone with her last night, and I was like, you know, right now I haven't got my period yet. I'm not pregnant. I feel amazing. I'm eliminating without even having to use my juice at all. I mean, my body is that on point. I'm like, you know, I think maybe like what, once a year, once a month? No, maybe twice a year, 3 times a year, I'll go walk around in a hospital and go eat at the cafeteria to get my daily upload, or get my monthly or get my biannual upload of the viruses, the new viruses in the environment. Because no, I'm not going to get all the different vaccines. I just don't like needles. But just being in the vicinity of anyone that has a communicable disease is like data. But on a weak body, it will destroy and cause heart attacks. But on a strong body, it's going to then evolve you to the next level of who knows what, evolution. Okay, so that's why I say viruses are not deadly. They're only deadly on bodies that haven't been taking care of themselves. And it's not your fault because you didn't know, but now you know, so now you have a choice. But you have to deal with the pain process because pain is healing. The people are like, oh, you're trying to say it to people like to hurt themselves. No, if you think that if you can't handle the pain, go get a drug. No one's telling you not to go to the doctor. If you can't handle the pain and the healing and all that, and you can't manage the healing process and the pain process and the jelly juice and all that, no one's stopping you to go get all your drugs. No one's stopping you from getting your procedures, getting things taken out, doing whatever you got to do to help you manage. But if you truly want to heal, you got to know how to balance the two. Because I'm telling you, it's tough when you have so many issues and predispositions. And you also have priorities. You got to go give a presentation. You got to go take care of your kids, your husband, your dog. And so you got to balance out. Some people will smoke pot on the protocol because that's the way they self-medicate until they feel they don't need to anymore. Okay, so you guys will figure out when and if with your doctor how you're going to manage to wean off of all the drugs if that is your desire. Okay, so yeah, you now have the choice. But it's like, you know, not everybody really wants to. I mean, let me tell you, the guys that I spoke to yesterday, those, you know, those little podcasters, I mean, they are from the hippie generation. These guys, you know, have the long hair and they look like they you know, a bunch of like burnouts. But they found their little, they carved their space of, you know, of being funny and poking fun at the conservatives because they're, you know, from San Francisco. And good for them, but I don't think they have what it takes to heal. So that's why the attacks. Because when you're not strong enough to heal, you're going to then attack anyone that is healing or that's already healed and amazing, and they're going to try to tear you down. And that's just, but that's like no different than when you have weaknesses in your body, and unless you are strong enough to fight against them and reverse it, they will take over. So you always have to be strong no matter what. I mean, that's just no different than in your environment. When there's a new virus in the environment and your body is weak, that's going to take over. That's called cancer. But when you're strong, then that virus will do nothing to you except strengthen you. So when I was talking to those guys yesterday, they were strengthening me because I'm now trying to figure out what exactly do they not know? What kind of myths are they believing that aren't true? And then I'm realizing, oh, they don't know anything about the justice system, due process. I mean, they have this very left-wing communist philosophy where you shoot first and then ask questions later. That's why they're not in charge. That's why we don't have a communist regime. That's why we have a due process. Okay, 3 branches of government. You know, and so it's funny how people think that, you know, that they know that I did something horrible. They know that they already convicted me before the justice system did. I mean, come on. I think we can give our leaders a little bit more credit, or we wouldn't have such a well-functioning society. Okay, so when you deal with ignorance, that's what you get, but that's okay. Education is key. You know, I can't imagine what it's like for teachers in schoolrooms today trying to educate kids that have been raised by parents who don't give a crap. Okay? I mean, now it's like trendy to do homeschooling. Okay, great. But not everybody can afford to do homeschooling, and I understand that. So these teachers have to try to penetrate the brainwashing, the predispositions, the ADD, all of the issues these kids are bringing to the table, and then try to make them excited about life when these kids are suffering from cancer, disease, chronic illness, parents that don't care, parents are too busy. And so that's kind of what I deal with, trying to educate the public about viruses, about jelly juice, that cabbage water and salt is not poisonous. Oh my God. And that poop is not something you hold on to. Oh my God, I never thought I had to actually address that. It's okay to release the poop. You don't have to hold on to it. But people are so afraid of poop. Well, yeah, you should be, because it's causing you issues, but they don't want to release it. You know, they don't understand what electrolytes are. I mean, you don't learn this stuff in education, in the school systems nowadays. They give you the bare minimum. I never learned about electrolytes. I never learned about prohormones. I never learned about minerals. I never learned about fatty acid, amino acids, even in my most basic health class. Okay? And so, yeah, when I'm now trying to explain the human body to people, as well as the benefits and the efficacy of jelly juice, and then the imbalances and what causes cancer, people are just like, oh my God. And so it's almost like they have to go and do research to, you know, to corroborate what I'm saying, but most people are too busy. And right, it's really easy to read a 2-minute soundbite or watch somebody entertaining that says, oh, Jillian's crazy, which, okay, that's fine. I'd rather be crazy and have an idea that could potentially help you if you're open to it than keep this to myself. Because that would be selfish. When you have something that's so amazing that's helped you, that isn't like a drug or a cure, but you know it's great for the universal population no matter what it is, you want to share it. You don't want to keep it to yourself. Because imagine when you think that, you know, if I'm believing in indefinite life, okay, and I don't share that, and everyone's dropping like flies around me, and I'm the only one that's been around in my circle of people, it's rather lonely. That's why people don't want to live forever, because they know that if they outlive all their friends and family, no one's going to be around to hang out with them. They have to go make new friends. So it's easier to drop like flies with everybody in your circle, in your generation, than it is to outlive it. I mean, imagine, you know, when you have a couple and one dies, the other one doesn't fall, the other one dies pretty soon thereafter because they can't imagine not living without their partner. I know what I got to deal with in the future with my husband. So that's why I had to bring this out, because I got to create a community around J-Juice. People that are going to be around with me for a while that understand this. You know, like Tiffany and maybe Tina and Audrey, okay, and Bridget and Kevin, Lillian. And so it's like, I got to have my community, because I know I'm going to outlive most people that I actually know in my life right now. I know I'm going to. My dog is. You know, she's 9 years old and she looks like a pup. She's probably healthier than most people. Will I ever get another dog one day? No, because I don't want to take care of 2 dogs. 1 dog's enough forever, okay? But maybe down the road, if I have a lot of money, you know, I can create a rescue and rehabilitate all these animals that will live forever. But then you got to be committed. When you get an animal, especially when you're on the J-Juice, now you're committed. You can't let them deteriorate. Some people don't know how to give this to their dog because they're too afraid of the backlash. But yeah, my dog went through healing symptoms and all of that. She was amazing during it. I mean, and now, you know, she barely gets any of it. She hasn't had really in it because I don't have any more cotton balls to drip down her throat. And I put some a little bit in her food, but I mean, she's eliminating like that. She's like very on schedule. She basically lets me know the schedule. Certain times of the day, man, you taking me out. Certain times of the day, you're feeding me. And she'll be right in my face until I do something. I'm like, oh my God, my life is run by my dog. But I chose that and I want that. But it's a forever thing with this dog. You know, I can't let her deteriorate, but I'm watching people that get animals, and then the animals contract cancer, disease, chronic illness, and then, you know, take to the vet, they give him all these antibiotics and whatever, and the dog has even more, you know, adverse reactions. And then it's just like, ugh, you know, and so I don't want that to ever happen with my animal or anyone that I, you know, see in my world. But you have to be committed. It's not just a haphazard thing, but I understand people don't want to have that commitment all the time. And if you have different plans in the future, sometimes having a dog 24/7, 7 days a week, forever is not something that you want. And I get that. Okay. So, so yeah, it's definitely very, very interesting to watch this, the outcome of the Jilly Juice. But I mean, I'll tell you, not everyone's going to be strong enough to handle this. Not everyone's going to be strong enough to handle the J-Juice. And that's why people are reacting the way they are reacting. And so I actually have to take it as a compliment that I'm reaching people, even if I just trigger their emotions, whatever their emotions are, I'm making some kind of impact. If anything, I'm planting seeds. Because when you have a reaction from anybody, no matter what, it's a seed that's been planted. And what you do with it is based upon what your intentions are and where you want to go in your life. So, and whether or not you want to give it energy. And so some people, you know, will react to it for a minute and then they'll do something else. So, I mean, that's fine. Others will stick. I mean, I have people that say they hate me, but they've been watching everything I'm doing. You know, because let me tell you, if you go to my old videos, you can see the difference in what I look like way back when. And it's funny, this guy, Robbie Gee, Robbiegee, Robbiegee, he has a meme, or it was somebody else, I forget. There was like a meme, it was like a video meme where it showed me drinking way back early in the beginning, and I looked like I was definitely healing. And I was showing how I was drinking, and I was like, oh my God, you know, you can see myself making faces, and so, you know, they're making this fun. And I'm like, oh wow, I've actually made it to where someone actually took the time to make a video, even though they're poking fun, but they made a video of me me drinking the juice, and it was difficult. Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, I've never lied to anyone. This is not easy. Okay, you need to know the truth. This is not easy. but it's possible. But you have to take the time. It's priorities. I mean, yeah, you can go and be part of society and be distracted by all the temptations out there, the drugs, the alcohol, the, you know, all of the entertainment and the partying and the bar hopping. I mean, that could be fun for a minute, but at what point are you going to fix your body from all of that destruction and that abuse? At some point, you're going to have to take the time. Stay home a weekend. Drink the J juice. Do the waterfalls. Drink the water. Stay on the diet. Is it really worth going to that party? Is it worth doing all these different things to your body? Because let me tell you, there is nothing made up on my face right now. I don't do any plastic surgery. I am at my best. I mean, I'm 130 pounds, but I'm actually very proportioned. Everything is now finally in its proper place. Prior to the J juice, I was lumpy here and lumpy there and swollen here and swollen there and had major upset of homeostasis, like hormones once a month. I mean, it was just completely, I was a mess. That's why that's what drove me to do the J juice, because I was a mess and I was dying in California. I had to get out of California. So it, you know, it's kind of funny that these people from California are like slamming me, but hey, you know, California's a place where if you can't make it anywhere, you go there. And then you can go and get, you know, whatever into the system over there, and then you can't leave. Well, some of you, I've tried to leave California for many, many times. I kept coming back. Finally, I got out. Oh, thank you, Magdalena Shojan. You're welcome. But I finally was able to escape California. And then now I'm like, okay, what the hell is California? And so now I'm learning about what California actually is. And it's a trip. And it's much cheaper out of California. I don't deal with so much of the discrimination. There's more discrimination in California than there is actually here in Ohio. There's a lot more discrimination in California than there is here in Ohio. And that is kind of crazy. When you think about how diverse California is, it's kind of crazy. But it's because of just the ignorance. You know, when they have such a set protocol of health and wellness and the way you're supposed to look and the kind of job that you have and all of this stuff, and then you don't fall in any of those specific categories, and it's like, dude, you're not going to make it here. And I'm like, okay, I'm not fitting all your health protocols. I'm not fitting anything that you're putting out there. What the hell? And so it was a whole reverse thing. It's like some kids, they're in like a small town like here, Ohio, and they move to California because it allows them to spread their wings because they're very constricted here. Well, I was constricted in California. And that's the land of opportunity. That's the land of innovation. I finally got my innovation out of California. So that should tell you how actually the discrimination and the narrow-mindedness is really under the radar. They talk a good game of how diverse and how open-minded they are. But when you think about it, California is not. I actually got my innovation here in Ohio, of all places, okay? Because I was allowed to finally breathe. I didn't have so many expectations of social things and living up to a certain thing and looking this way and looking that way and having this kind of money and having this kind of job. It's okay to not have a high-powered job if you don't know really what you want to do. Okay, and so, you know, anyways, so I'm just really, 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 really pleased with where I'm going. And I know a lot of you are going to be able to do the J juice, and you guys are going to be a great representation, like a great one. And you guys are going to be around, because I'm telling you, I'm going to outlive most people here, just even my circle here. Even in California, I'm going to outlive my family. I'm going to outlive a lot of people that I know personally here. And so if I can get somebody out there to do the protocol and we have something in common, hey, nice to see you, even if it's just on the internet. But there are a few people here in Ohio that are looking at it. But, you know, I don't know how many people here in Ohio that I know in my circle of people are going to do it. Actually, nobody in my inner circle is doing it. I mean, as far as people that I know here in Ohio, there's someone that may look at it, but I don't have a lot of hope. But I hope, because you got to create your community, especially when you're going to be outliving your community. So you got to learn how to adapt to the new changes. And that's one of the biggest takeaways about J juice is adaptation, adapting to your environment. And there's going to be changes. Because yesterday I was talking with one of my group members, and I put out some kind of scenario of what could have happened as far as the coronavirus being released. And, you know, there's so many different speculations. So, you know, you want to entertain them all, and everything's a possibility. But he was just like, you know, what about 9/11 was an inside job? You know, and I'm like, you know, even if it was, even if it wasn't, they're asking me my opinion on it. I'm like, I have no opinion on it. I haven't earned the right to have an opinion about 9/11. I watched a bunch of movies, yes. But watching a bunch of movies is not going to tell you the truth. You're just getting someone else's perspective, their agenda. I don't have enough information on anything out there aside from J-Juice to have an opinion whether I should believe it or not. And where is it going to take you knowing, what's it going to get you knowing that 9/11 was or was not an inside job? You know, is it going to make your life better? Or are you going to have to learn how to adapt? What if it was? What are you going to do? You still want to live. Let's say they did admit it. Then what? Now you want mass chaos and death and chaos? No. I would rather it just be left alone. Who cares? Let's move forward. Okay? And so I kept saying, just do the J-Juice. I don't think this guy is doing it. I mean, I think he at some point he will, maybe, I don't know. But you're going to have to adapt to the future. Okay? The future is now. Everything you have in front of you is now, because I'm telling you, this coronavirus, I mean, the media is downplaying it because, yeah, I mean, I got a virus attack a couple weeks ago, like I said, and it was aggressive. And I was telling my friend that, I mean, it choked me up out of a dead sleep. Take a nap on the couch, all of a sudden I'm freaking choking as if I just, like, I swallowed the wrong way in my sleep. Like, how do you choke in your sleep? You know, and so, and that was a 1 day of just coughing and mucusing and coughing, no headache, no feeling sick, but my body was like releasing. And I mean, I didn't know anyone that in my world that I see on even a monthly basis coming down with any sickness. I mean, there people had flus, but my body's been exposed to the flu before. So I'm like, what? So I can only imagine that this coronavirus is already on the soil. And since they don't have a vaccine for it yet, they're not going to really want to raise too many alarms because there's no solution. And so now they're saying that, like Cleveland 19 or all these different local groups are saying, oh yeah, what you should fear is the flu. That's the worst thing. The flu pandemic is something you should fear over the coronavirus. And so then all these different, like the CDC and Statista or statistic company or website is like trying to show you how the SARS and the coronavirus are about the same, and that the flu pandemic is much higher than it is, you know. And so they're trying to downplay. And then when you get flu-like symptoms from corona, people can easily mistake it as a flu. They're not going to know unless they go get it tested. And I don't even know if they do get it tested, they probably won't even want to get tested because then they'll be put in quarantine. So, you know, so it's like a no-win situation for anyone. So it's not going to matter. So if they downplay it, then, you know, the government's going to still, you know, come out on top until they have a vaccine. And then once the vaccine's ready, then, okay, there you go. Here's a vaccine. Now it's all bad. And then you see the stock price go up, which, okay, fine. Yeah, you want to have a vaccine for something as deadly as this. You know, and yeah, if you are having major complications from the flu or from the coronavirus, but you're not going to know because unless you go get it tested, and then once you get it tested, then you're open up that can of worms. But if you are having complications from the flu, you should go to the hospital, go to the ER, and get the supportive liquids and the oxygen and whatever else you need, because you can't do anything for a virus. It has to run its course, and you hope that you measure up. I mean, it's like an inspection from the angel of death. Will you be able to handle this virus, whatever it is, whether it's coronavirus, flu virus, whatever? I remember having a flu virus a long time ago, back actually, my God, in 2001. And it was so bad. I mean, the headache was insane. The headache, the coughing, the diarrhea. I mean, it was probably the worst thing ever. Okay. Now I've had things like that since, I think in like 2010 or 2011, I think. But then, and I had one little cold after Dr. Phil, and then nothing thereafter as far as any flu or any virus. Okay. but I do notice changes in the environment and my body will adjust accordingly. Just like a little calibration, you know, meter, you'll see when something's in the environment because the little meter thing starts moving, you know, and that's like when I have more mucus or when I, you know, poop more or when I'm hungry. So, and so also too, you guys, this is another thing. I haven't had my period yet and I'm not pregnant. So we're in January 30th. My last period, I think, was like the 24th of December, I think. Yeah, it was around Christmas time that I had my period. So if I don't get my period, then it's going to then confirm my theories about reproduction. And that reproduction only happens when it is a trigger to mitigate extinction. And so when the body's on a death trajectory and there's major anomalies, it's going to produce eggs to make sure that just in case something happens, that it will have a backup plan. Okay. And so my body's feeling 100% perfect. 100% perfect, if that's even possible to say. So it's very, very interesting that the year of the rat, which is basically the first animal of the cycle of the Chinese New Year, you know, the rat and the ox and the tiger, and I'm year of the tiger, the third animal of the cycle, and the cat or the rabbit, and then all the animals that they're after. But it's like me not getting my period, the first year of the rat, the renewal, and then you're having this crazy coronavirus. And I was talking about communism in China like 2 weeks before this coronavirus in China. Okay. And I discovered my part in promoting communism in California when I belonged to the independent movement in San Francisco, unbeknownst to me. And then I chose Republican because I'm not, that's Jilly Juice is a Republican type of protocol because it's about personal accountability, independence in a lot of ways. You know, you're not using too many government resources because you are dependent upon yourself. You're doing your own research. You're using the system a little bit if you need to, but you're not depending on the system unless it's like for things like your house and your property and, you know, your infrastructure. But Jilly Juice is very, very Republican. You are ultimately the one that's going to take care of your body. They'll give you minimum regulations, but the rest is up to you. That's the whole Republican and Jilly Juice way. So all of this is, it doesn't escape me. The synchronicity of the universe and what's going on doesn't escape me. And I think once you are more in tune with your environment and the universe, you're going to start predicting and seeing things, and the universe will let you know, not like in a dream say, okay, this is going to happen, but you'll start focusing on certain things and you won't even know why. You'll just focus on it because it interests you. But why does it interest you? Well, there's a reason why. You just don't know there's a bigger picture somewhere. And then hindsight 2020, you're like, oh shit, why did I focus on this? And now this is happening. What the hell? So yes, you will be more in tune with the higher powers that are out there, the universe, the collective, whatever it is. And that's like your pineal gland opening, I guess, if that's another way to put it. The J juice will, over time, if you stay with it, will open up your pineal glands and everything else that has been calcified and closed up and deadened because of the way you deal with your symptoms. So that's exciting. And imagine so many people experiencing that. And then what kind of peace on earth, what kind of society we will create from that. Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of hope for the future. Yes, it's very, very like annoying to stick your neck out and people wanting to chop it off, but there's always going to be that. But no matter what, they have the opportunity to do it. But some people have ulterior motives. They have investments in things that I'm slamming. I understand that. But let the best man win. Not everyone's going to do J juice. So your pills and your powdered and supplements, your detox and your drugs will still be there. Because there are people that are that sick that will not do J juice, that will need all of your protocols. So everyone has a market. It's just about marketing. How well do you market? And that's no different than the capitalist society that we live in. What do you have and how do you speak to your audience and who is your target audience? Okay. I mean, this is marketing 101, business 101. And I'm not going to reach everybody, but the ones I do reach are meant to do it. And yeah, so it's very, 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 very fascinating to watch. So anyways, you guys, just do the best you can to not fear anything out there. I mean, yes, it's going to be a little tumultuous this next year, and we still haven't seen really, truly what the coronavirus is capable of in the US. But watching what's going on in China, it's pretty insane. And no matter what, just drink the J juice, kind of stay out of too much of the debates back and forth, though it's fun to take part, yes, and sometimes you have the energy. And just allow yourself to heal. It's okay to stay home on a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. It's okay to drink the J juice, stay on the diet, drink water, and watch like a whole thing of Netflix and go to sleep. Do you know this whole last month, I slept a lot this last month. I slept a whole lot. And sleeping is restorative, okay? And so it's like, so don't like stop yourself from sleeping if you need to. Now, obviously, if you have to go to work, go to work. But when you have downtime, take advantage of it. You need to rest. If you have to go to a job, that's 8 hours out of your day that you have to repair from, and then all the other predispositions. You got to prioritize a healing process. It's not going to just come from a couple sips here and there or a couple waterfalls here and there. It's something that you have to incorporate into your routine. Okay? Drinking J juice is not something that I'm diagnosing you or telling you as a medical advice. It's like nutrition. You've got to get your nutrition. You got to dilute the antibodies, electrolytes. When you are dehydrated, what do you do when someone is dangerously dehydrated? They go to the hospital and get an IV bag. And that IV bag has sodium chloride plus some other minerals, and it has glucose. The J juice protocol has everything and then some. It has even the probiotic and the micro and macro nutrition from the cabbage and kale. That's why it's so revolutionary and so amazing, because it has all the necessary components to rehydrate you, heal you, seal you, and dissolve and break down food. And I mean, it has all those components all in one drink. And you have to poop and you have to feel pain, but manage it accordingly to whatever, you know, your protocols are as far as pain management. That's not going to undermine you. And you just give yourself time. Take naps. Relax. Believe that you can live indefinitely, barring nothing freak or some major natural disaster. Believe that you know that you can beat whatever conditions you are dealing with. Because belief really is probably the most powerful thing that will get you to wherever you need to go. If you don't have a belief in yourself or a belief in my protocol or belief that people should live indefinitely, then you're never going to do the protocol, and you'll be on the sidelines watching, observing, judging. So one of the biggest things about the J juice is the belief in it, the belief in yourself, and the belief that people are not meant to die or grow old. That's somebody else's belief system that you've adopted, but you don't know why you believe it. You were just told that. So there's some people that have earned their opinion and their belief system, and there are some people that have not earned their opinion and belief system. And so when you ask someone, well, do you think people should live or die? And they say, oh, I think you should die. Well, why? Because everybody does. Because everybody does. Because everybody jumps off a roof. Does it mean that you should? I mean, you got to have a deeper type of substantiation, explanation besides that, oh, everybody does, or my mom told me, or my dad told me, or my professor told me. Okay? It's got to come from you. But remember, we've been fed so much stuff. Now, at some point, you're going to have to develop your own thought process and your own substantiation on why you hold the beliefs that you do. Who influenced you and why? What traumas you had in the past to create your belief system today. And maybe you need to heal from those traumas so that way you have access to a different belief system that will serve you and everyone that you are interacting with. So yeah, so right now the challenges of J juice is penetrating belief systems, because some people have not earned their belief system or their opinion, but they just regurgitate it. And so it's very difficult to penetrate that, but it's not impossible. So If that is the last thing that I say today, think about why you have and why you hold the belief system that you hold right now. And have you really earned that belief system? Or did you just inherit it? You just took it and regurgitated it because it got you a bunch of people loving you or people giving you likes and dislikes and whatever. But have you really earned your belief system? Or are you just piggybacking on somebody else's work? Have a good day. Bye.